what's up, everybody? It's your man, Tim Swain. On this episode, I have a wonderful guest, and we're talking about 9 or maybe 10 cultural tips you need to know as you're in Ghana. So this is something that's really important because oftentimes when you come to Ghana, there's a lot of deeper level cultural things that people really don't know. And so I decided to talk about some very short tips to help you become a little bit more integrated in Ghana society. So let's jump straight to it. So Fatia, thank you so much for being with me today. I'm excited about these tips. So let's dive right into it.
Right. First of all, I would want to say that African culture is embedded in strong moral considerations. So we are looking at what is morally right and what is morally wrong. And so then I'll just jump to the first culture tip. The first one is greetings.
Okay.
Greetings. You have to learn to greet if you are coming here, because greeting is like our medicine. It's more of an involuntary thing. You just know you have to greet. When you come to somebody's space, the first thing you have to do is greet them. You know, if it's in the morning, you know the greetings, the good morning, you use the good afternoon, and you use the good evening.
Okay, so now what if someone wants to like learn a couple greetings in Tree?
Right.
So for the morning, what would that be?
In the morning, that would be marching.
Marching.
Marching for the morning. We have Maha for the afternoon.
Maha.
And then we have Majo for the evening.
Fantastic.
Right.
So I know that these are very important. Now, let me ask a question.
Right.
When it comes to greetings, do you just greet everybody, like everybody you see, hey, good morning, good morning, good morning? Or is it, something other than that? Like, so give us some details about that.
Well, greeting is, like I say, greeting is like our medicine. So you have to learn, we greet a lot. You can pass by somebody in the street, you can just say good morning, they'll respond to you. It's a cultural thing, everybody understands it. But then there's a little more detail with when you are greeting an elderly person. For everybody here, you don't use your left hand when you are greeting someone. You have to use your right hand. If you use your left hand, it's disrespectful. And then also, when you are greeting an elderly person, you have to always learn to greet an elderly person. Even before you talk to them, yes, you have to. Otherwise, you are rude, you are disrespectful.
Wow.
Then again, when you come to somebody's space, you greet them. If you are age mates, if you are colleagues, you greet them. And then, they respond and everything. But if an elder comes to your space, you have to stand up and greet them. So, it's the other way around. You show respect to the elder. That's how it is here. So when an elder comes to your space, you do the greeting.
Okay,
it's not the other way around.
So, all right, so we talked about the greetings. We realized how important that is. Let's move on to the second tip. The second cultural tip we need to know is what?
As the use of the left hand.
Okay. So like if I'm greeting someone, I shouldn't say, hey.
You don't
Good morning.
do that.
How you doing?
That's disrespectful.
Okay.
You have to learn to use the right hand.
The right hand.
The right hand every time.
Okay, so no, I have a question. What if you only have one hand and it's the left hand?
Well, that's understandable. That's understandable.
Yes.
Everybody understands you don't have the other hand, so that's fine. Then also, yeah.
All right, so we use the right hand.
You use the right hand to greet people. And then also I was going to talk about the use of the left hand. Here we see the left hand as the one that's used for when you go to the washroom, when you do the number 2.
Okay.
So we use the left hand for that. And so the left hand is seen as, I don't want to use the word dirty, but I can use that for lack of a better word.
Okay.
So then you have to learn to always use your right hand, especially when you're talking to an elder person. Don't use your left hand.
Now, what about when you're eating food, when you're passing, let's say money or something like that, is it also the same thing in terms of using your right hand?
Right, it's the same thing. The right hand is more, it's used here over the left hand. So you have to learn to use the right hand more. But if there's a situation where you have to use your left hand, maybe you are eating and you have to give something to somebody, then you have to apologize whilst you are doing that. Sorry for using left.
Sorry for the left.
And everybody will understand that, there's a reason but don't use your left hand when you don't have an apology attached, because then you'll be seen as disrespectful.
Wow, that's great. All right, so we got those first 2 tips. I'm pretty sure people are becoming more and more integrated into Ghana society.
Right.
I'm excited for the next couple tips. What do we got? Number 3.
Number 3, don't call an elder by their first name. You can't call your mommy Jasmine. Girl, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to say auntie, uncle, brother, chairman. You can even say boss, you know.
Yeah.
So anything, you have to add something to somebody who is older than you are. If you are colleagues, then you can just say, oh, Tim. But if you are not, if somebody is older than you are, you have to find a way to qualify it. You can say auntie this, uncle this. Yeah, that's what you have to do here. If you call someone by their first name, you are rude, you are disrespectful.
You know, that's interesting because when I grew up, it was the exact same thing. And I tell people a lot of times, especially in Ghana, people think the U.S. is like a monolithic culture, is all the same. I tell people there's so many different aspects of U.S. culture. There's dominant culture, then there's other types. But in black culture, it's the exact same thing. You are not going to call your auntie, your teacher, your pastor, walk up and call them Johnny or Tim. You're going to have to put pastor, reverend, doctor, or something on it. So it's good to see that there's a lot of cohesion between the cultures.
Yeah, so it's like the same thing here. So then the next tip I'm going to talk about, tip number 4, is you do not disagree with an elder, or you do not talk over an elder.
Wow.
If somebody is older than you, you don't disagree with them.
So what classifies as an elder?
Somebody who is older than you, that's just the point.
So let's say someone is 10 years old, and they're talking to someone who's 15 years old.
Yeah, so the 15 years old is always right.
Really?
That is what it is. So this is the point. If you have to disagree with an elder, you wait for them to make their point, and then you ask them, can I talk now?
Wow, wow.
And then now, if the elder says yes, you can, then you can make your point. But don't disagree with an elder. Don't talk over an elder. That's rude. That's disrespectful. If you talk over an elder, your case is, you know, you are already guilty. You're already disrespectful, and there's nothing you can do. Nobody's going to support you.
Wow.
Right. So that's the next tip for when you are here. Don't talk over an elder. An elder, even if an elder is wrong, you can't tell them that, you know. You have to be patient. You have to know how to say it in a more tactical way. You have to ask them, can I speak? Can I air my opinion? Yeah, that's fine. But don't talk over them.
Great.
Yeah. So cultural etiquette in Ghana, do's and don'ts. Tip number 5 and number 6. Public display of affection and dress code. I'll take the dress code first. If you are in the villages, it's more street. If you are in the cities, because there's a lot of modernization in the cities, sometimes you can show a little more and everybody's okay. People don't look at you too much. But if you go to the villages where there's a lot more cultural conservation, you'll be seen as disrespectful. You can't go to certain places with certain kind of dresses, especially when you are showing too much, you know.
Give us an example.
For instance, if you are dressed where you are showing, you know, a little more of the curves here,
okay.
You know, if it's too short. For instance, you are going to the chief's palace, you are going to see the elders. People will tell you, you don't dress like this. It's, you know, they'll see it as disrespectful. Especially the women, they'll, you know, don't do it, you know. Just cover up a little. And like I said again, in the cities, it's more understandable because of modernization and because of, you know, people are more open. And there's a lot of diversity in the cities too. But if you are in the interiors, then please cover up a lot more.
So is it a difference for women than men?
It's not too different because for men, for instance, if you are going to the chief's palace, you can't just wear shorts and then you can just wear like some singlets, you know, something that's showing a lot more of your body. We encourage you to cover up more. Covering up more is a sign of respect, and even especially for the women, if you don't dress well, you may be seen as immoral. Yeah. And some people will even call you a prostitute. That's sad. That's sad, but that is what it is here. So you have to learn to cover up a little more when you are here, and especially when you are in the interiors.
It's true. Ghana is very conservative.
Right,
so
are.
Especially you're a woman, you may get looked at the wrong way. Those guys may try to holler at you at nighttime, but they won't holler at you in the daytime, but that's another video.
That's, another thing. And then let's say 10 years ago, if you had a rasta or you had cut your hair, there's a mark inside, you automatically seen as a criminal or a thief or something. I mean, things have changed now, you know, so it's better now. But if you have the rasta, if you have the, we call it a boy here, if you have the line in the hair, then, you know, people will look at you a certain way.
You know, it's very interesting you say that because my son, he has little rasta hair and he has the lines in his head. And I remember when I took him to the barbering shop, I wanted him to have like this really big design. Even though the barber's a rasta, he was like, you know what, don't cause unwanted trouble for yourself.
It's true.
And so it's really interesting you say that because I think there's a cultural dynamic here where there's a large kind of pervasive culture that says something, and the reality is, depending on who you are and what you're doing, sometimes it's better. There's an airplane going over our heads. But depending on who you are and what you do, sometimes it's good, I think, to be aware, especially for people coming to Ghana, to be aware of the social implications of your actions. It doesn't mean sometimes you can't do it. It just means that sometimes things come at a certain cost.
Right. And so you just have to do what makes you coexist better with people. It's not, you are not we are not saying you are disrespecting. Sometimes you just don't understand. But the point is, this is what it is. And this is our culture, and we encourage you to respect that. Yeah, so the next point I'm going to talk about is public display of affection. Don't do it, Keep it to the bedroom. If it's your boyfriend, if your spouse, you don't hug, you don't do too much hugging and kissing outside. People will look at you some way, and I know maybe your spouse is just trying to show you that they love you, but the way people look at you, you just know that you are.
So let me ask you a question. I see people do it all the time. Now, granted, it's definitely not as common as some of the other places in the world I've been to, but in Ghana, I see that some people do it. So my question is, so what do you say to somebody who says, oh, I see people doing that all the time in Ghana?
The point is, people do it, but how do people look at them? So sometimes you have to consider, it doesn't mean that you are lower or because you are higher or something, but it's just a culture here. How do people see what you are doing?
So I'm looking forward to the next couple tips.
Right.
All right, so listen, we learned these first tips. I'm sure you're learning more. Real quick, I just want to mention that Fati is doing an amazing job. She's giving us these amazing tips. And if you're coming from the outside, I don't want you to stress so much, believing that if you mess up on one of these, somebody's going to stone you.
No.
That's not going to happen.
No.
But the whole goal of giving you these tips is to make sure that you are at least aware of the type of cultural climate that you're going into as you come to Ghana. So we learned those first 6. Let's get started with the next tips.
Tip number 7, relationship before objective. This is the point. You don't meet someone and then just start talking about business. You have to ask them, how are you doing? We are family-oriented people, so people want to know that you care about them, even more than what you are talking about, even more than business. And so when you meet somebody, you say, good morning, how are you doing? How is your family doing? And then you can move to business. When you come to a meeting place, you see someone, even in lectures, when I was in the university, sometimes the lecturers will come, they ask you, good morning, how are you doing today? Before even the lecture starts. And so it's more of a cultural thing that shows that you care about people. And so if you don't do it, then you are seen as rude. Right. Right. And then the next thing is the use of curse words. Please, don't use the F word that rhymes with dark. Don't use the B word that rhymes with ditch. No. Don't do it. It's unacceptable. I mean, you can get in trouble for doing that. So don't use the F word, because if you use the F word, you are seen more as like somebody who doesn't respect, somebody who is rude, somebody who wasn't brought up well.
Really?
That's it.
You know what's interesting? Because of like the Ghana accent, someone may be saying beach, like Accra Beach.
Right.
It sounds like beach.
Well, as long as people understand what you are trying to say, but don't call someone a B. No. Don't do it.
My beach. Say,
It's true too. But yeah, so that's it. The use of curse words. You have to bring it. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not acceptable here. It's not nice. You'll be seen as disrespectful. And then the last tip we are going to talk about is the use of please and sorry. Please and sorry. You have to learn to use please and sorry. Even if somebody asks you, how are you doing? You can say, please, I'm fine.
Really?
Yes, you have. Sometimes we use please a lot here because it's also a sign of respect. And if you are talking to an elder, even if you have your own money and you go to a shop and you are buying something, you say, please, I want to buy ice cream.
So you put please, so I know people watching this, you're probably not used to using please this much. But in Ghana, it's like you put please on everything.
Right, you put please before you say anything.
So please, how are you? Please, I'm fine.
Yeah, please, I'm fine.
Please, I want to go to this place.
The point is sometimes please compensates for your tone. For instance, if somebody felt that you were too loud, or maybe your tonation wasn't good, please can compensate for that, because then they know that you are being polite to them. So yeah, we use please. You have to learn to use please. And then sorry. For instance, if you are walking and then maybe you bump into somebody, you turn around and you say sorry. you know, then it shows them that you didn't do it intentional. But if you step on somebody and you just keep walking, no, don't do that.
Now here's a question. What
Right.
would happen, let's say if you're walking and you bump someone and you don't say sorry, would the person slap you or shoot you? Like, what would happen?
No, people wouldn't slap, people wouldn't shoot you, but people may confront you. You know, they can come to you and say, hey, did you realize you bumped into me?
Oh, sorry.
And then you say, well, if you say sorry, then you are vindicated. Yes, so then you have to learn to say please and sorry.
Wow. Well, Fatia,
Yeah.
thank you so much for these 9 tips. I'm sure that people learned a lot about
hopeful.
culture in Ghana.
Right.
And thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sure you appreciate this. I'm sure you love this content. As always, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe. Until next time, peace.